Hello everyone, this is Samya and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we are doing a video that is slightly different than what I usually do. So this video is going to be about how I learned English 6 hours for 30 days. It was a challenge plan which I followed. So in this video, I will be talking about what are the 9 steps which I followed and how much time I dedicated to follow each one of them. And in the end of the video, I will also talk about what kind of difficulties I have been through while following this challenge. So it was a challenge which I have recently followed, and now I decided that I should be making a video about it because a lot of people have questioned me that how could you learn English so easily. So by making this video, I want you to know that my journey was not easy at all. I have put a lot of effort to get better in this language. It's just that I have always switched strategy from this one to that one if it did not work for me. So I have put a lot of effort to get better in this language. So by making this video, I want you to know that please understand my journey is not easy at all. So if you are struggling with something, that's perfectly fine because that is a part of process. So without further delay, let's get started. So the first thing I did was practicing grammar for 1 hour. But the fact is, I am always horrible in grammar because when it comes to understanding rules, I always get stuck. And there's another reason that I always find practicing grammar a monotonous kind of work because whenever I try to practice grammar, I always feel exhausted or I always feel that this is a work I cannot do. And it is one of the steps which I did not want to follow, but I had promised to myself that I will be practicing grammar for 1 hour no matter what. And even though I have studied grammar for 30 hours, like 30 days for 1 hour, still my grammar is not that good. I don't have good understanding of grammar. But there's something I have found quite strange that I don't know grammar rules, but still I can construct sentences quite easily. I still remember yesterday I was having conversation with my sister and I was talking about this issue that I have this problem. I don't know rules, but I can construct sentences. And I think it is only possible when you have consumed a lot of content in that particular language. And I always believe that my mind is trained in a certain way to act or to construct sentences because I have completely immersed myself in this language. And when it comes to what to study in grammar, mostly I have seen that a lot of people try to get into the depth of hard part of grammar, which seems quite difficult to a lot of people, and that's why they give up. But all the people who are trying to get into the depth of hard part, they are not even good at basic. So it's very important for all of us to start with basic because if your basic is clear, then your journey would become quite easier for you. So yeah, this was a step I followed for 30 days for 1 hour. The next step I followed was reading offline for at least half an hour. And by saying reading offline, I mean reading books or newspapers. But I don't usually prefer reading newspaper because I think I won't be able to understand most of the words, and I'm sure I am never going to use those kind of vocabulary in my daily life. So I always prefer reading books. But the funny thing is that when I was following this challenge, I had only one book available at home. Now I have got multiple books, but at that time I had only one book which I was revising over and over again. And there's one thing I would like to tell you that when I was reading books, I was making sure that I was reading out loud because in my opinion, and I have observed it over time, that when you are reading something out loud, it is one of the best way to improve your enunciation and speaking skill. So if you want to get better in that particular language, then you will have to read as much as you can, especially out loud. And I always prioritize reading because I could see vast amount of changes in my English just because of reading. So when I have adapted this habit of reading books as much as I can in English, I have improved a lot, and my English has also improved so much. English for at least a page. And when it comes to writing a page, it usually takes 15 to 20 minutes, depends on how fast and slow you write. But since it is one of my favorite steps, so sometimes I used to write 2, 3, 4 pages. But I mainly focused on writing one page every day because it was enough for me. And when it comes to what to write, because this is the major issue, a lot of people struggle with it because they think I know I have to write, but the problem is what to write. So what exactly I used to do, let me tell you. You don't necessarily have to write about any particular topic. You can write about whatever you want. So sometimes I used to describe how I spent my day. Sometimes I used to talk about what kind of difficulties I am going through nowadays. Or sometimes, if I have watched any videos or if I have read something, I used to summarize it in my own words. Or sometimes, if I was having bad days or if I was feeling low or demotivated, I used to put my thoughts down. So in this way, I used to put down multiple topics, which has also improved my writing skill to some extent. And I believe this is one of the best way to feel relaxed, because for me, writing works like a therapy. Fourth thing I did was speaking alone for at least an hour and a half. This was one of the craziest and hardest thing I have done so far, because can you imagine speaking for 90 minutes every single day for 30 days? I was literally crazy at that time. And I still remember when I was following this challenge, I went insane. I was speaking almost everywhere. I was speaking while having my meal. I was speaking even while sleeping, because I got accustomed of it. I got used to it so much that I was not even calm while sleeping. But fortunately, this step was quite enjoyable to me, because I had that kind of sense or feeling, you can say, to be improved in this language. Furthermore, this step became little bit easier for me because I had set time for myself that I am going to speak right after having my breakfast, or I will be speaking for 30 minutes. And I have this good habit to walk right after having meal. So I have decided that I'm going to have breakfast, and right after breakfast I will be speaking for 30 minutes while walking. Similarly, I have set time for myself that after having my lunch or after having my dinner, I will be speaking for 30 minutes. So that's how I completed this challenge to speak 90 minutes every single day. The next step I followed was having conversation with someone in English for at least 45 minutes. And by saying having conversation with someone, I mean practice with someone who also knows English. But this step was little bit difficult for me, since I did not have anybody at home who can help me to practice my English with. But I was using an app which has helped me to some extent. So I was practicing with other co-learners. Although neither they were native speakers nor they were very fluent in English, but still I could improve my English to some extent, and I could feel that this step has been really beneficial to me. And it's not something they were perfect in English and their English was flawless, or probably they were helping me to correct my mistakes. Not at all. But just by engaging in a conversation with someone, or just by connecting with them, I could feel huge amount of changes in my English. I could gain a lot of confidence, which made me a confident English speaker. And there's one thing I have realized over time, that you can definitely improve your English just by practicing alone, or just by talking to yourself, because that's how I did it, because I did not have anybody, and in the beginning I did not have confidence to talk to someone, even though while I was having conversation on any app. But I have realized one thing, that when you put yourself out there and when you engage in a conversation with someone, it will definitely change your English drastically. You can become a confident and natural English speaker. So this was a step I followed for 45 minutes every single day. The next thing I did was expanding my list of vocabulary. And this is the most important steps, but most of us easily forget it, because we think once I have memorized new vocabulary or once I have written down new words, I am not going to forget them. But the fact is, we quickly forget them if we don't revise them frequently. So while I was following this challenge, I had one thing in my mind, that along with other steps, I am also going to work on my vocabulary, because I had forgotten most of the words because I was not using them. So what exactly I was doing? All the words which I heard or which I read somewhere, first of all, I used to write them down and revise them constantly. But I was not revising only those words which I wrote right now. Instead, I was revising all the words which I wrote from the day one of learning English. Although this work was really frustrating and exhausting kind of work, but in order to make new vocabulary stick in my mind and not forget them quickly, I had to do it. So that's how I was expanding my vocabulary. And I have a list of vocabulary which contains more than 3 to 400 vocabulary, I don't even know, but yeah, it is huge. So in order to make them stick in my mind and to revise them constantly, it used to take a lot of time. It used to take around 30 to 40 minutes. So that's how I completed this challenge. Next step I followed was watching videos in English for at least 45 minutes. And this was a step I could follow quite easier compared to other one, because I was watching different kind of videos which was also helping me to grow as a better person. And when I decided to learn English, or when I decided to follow this challenge, I had one more thing in my mind, that I have to upgrade myself as well. So I was consuming a lot of content related to self-improvement and personal development, and I never felt exhausted and depleted because of watching videos too much, because all the kind of content which I had been consuming was aligned with my interest. And there's one more thing why I did not give up and I did not feel demotivated, because I have completely cut off myself from Hindi language. Although I was speaking Hindi along with my family members, but when it comes to reading, watching and listening, I was only consuming content in English language. And for that, I have subscribed multiple English YouTube channel, and that's how I was only being suggested English videos. So that's how I stopped consuming content in Hindi language or in any other language except of English. So that's how I could watch videos for hours without even feeling fed up or without even getting bored. Next thing I did was reading online for half an hour. I was following this too, because when it comes to reading offline, such as books or newspapers, I did not have an option to get to know more about the topic, and I had only one book which I was revising over and over again, and I got fed up with it. So I wanted to have new information. I wanted to know about different topics. So when I was reading online, I had an option to get to know more about the topic, or if I wanted to switch that topic, or if I did not like the topic, I could have an option. I could have done that. Apart from this one, if I wanted to get to know more about any specific topic, or if I have to search about something because something came up in my mind, then I could have got it. So overall, reading online has been really beneficial for me, because I had an option to get to know more about different things, and I also had an option to reach out to wide range of topics and to learn from them. Another step I followed was describing a topic per day for at least 15 minutes. And by saying describing a topic, I mean I had to choose any specific topic, research about the topic, and then summarize it in my own words. But you know what? There are a lot of people who underrate and who overlook summarizing something in their own words because they think it is not going to help them. But trust me, this one step can change your English to some extent. It will really help you to get better in your speaking skill. So I followed this challenge 15 minutes per day. I can assure you that if you are constantly putting effort and trying to get better in English every single day just by practicing alone, then I'm sure you can see huge amount of changes in your English just after a month or two later. So here are 9 steps which I followed for 30 days, which took me around 6 hours per day. Trust me, this challenge was not easy at all. I was literally behaving like a crazy person. I was studying day and night, and my family members like my mama, my sister were so worried about me because I was behaving so reckless. And just because of this challenge, I started having miserable headache and severe pain in my eyes. But I can't do anything now because I know I have done something wrong and now I have to go through the consequences. You may think that a lot of people study for 6 hours, for 8 hours, but still it does not affect them. Although I'm not saying that you are wrong, because a lot of people can study because every single person has different capacity and capability to learn something or to do something. But I had multiple things to do along with following this challenge. I had my regular class to attend, I had multiple things to get done, and along with all my work, I was following this challenge. So I was really burnt out. I was feeling completely depleted and exhausted. I can't even put it in words how exactly I used to feel. There were multiple times when I wanted to give up because I felt this is not my cup of tea. But I'm quite a stubborn kind of person, so I had challenged to myself to follow this process. So I was like, no, I'm not going to give up no matter what. So in conclusion, there's one thing I would like to say, that if something is taking time or if you don't see progress right now, please have some patience. Please just take care of your health because it is really precious. Because if you don't take care of your health, then it is of no use to learn a language. And I can say this as per my own experience because I have struggled with it. And by sharing this video, I do not mean that I want to show off or I want you to follow this challenge or something like that. Not at all. It's just that I have followed it and that's what I am sharing. I'm making this video. I want you to know that my journey was not easy at all. So if something is taking time, then have some patience. So that's all I had to say. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it and you enjoyed the video. So please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.